Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio episode 150. That's Eric over there.
Ooh, holy shit, 150. Hello.
Wow.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
That makes me Kelly. 150 episodes, you guys.
Ooh.
This is,
We'll get this figured out yet.
yeah.
One day we'll have everything ironed out.
Give you guys a little peek behind the curtains. I had something cool planned. I have a bottle of champagne in the refrigerator. I was going to pop it live on air. I was going to put some ice cubes in a bucket here so that we could drink it while we were celebrating and everything. But I spent last night with Carlos Zamora, and the idea of drinking anything right now is literally turning my stomach.
Maybe we'll do it for like New Year's or something.
That's a little scary.
He and I had a lot to drink.
Oh my God.
Last
My
night.
God, I can't even fathom.
I'm not going to ask how many glasses, how many bottles did you go through?
Well, let's not live in the
10?
past.
Please,
It was a fight night. He invited me down for the UFC fight, and he introduced me to pork tamales, which I had never had before.
Oh, sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we drank and drank and drank. We even recorded a real quick episode that I am sure will never see the light of day.
Oh, I hope it
Do you
does.
hope it never sees the light?
Well, I did drop a bunch of M-bombs, and as he made sure to let me know that he does not edit anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've heard that.
We we talked about the live show at Emerald City Comic Con, which he was nice enough to show up at, and even took some pictures of us.
We finally have pictures of the three of us together in a space.
And he said something, Eric, I'm still not sure how to take this. He goes, after seeing your guys' live show, I realized how much work Eric puts into that. And I was like, And he goes, oh, no, I mean that as a compliment. And I'm like, for who?
Yeah, that's Carlos. That's not a nice thing to say, bro.
Oh, I know why you guys edit. I don't personally, but I know why Strange Aeons gets edited.
Speaking of Emerald City, we released our live show a couple episodes ago, but this is the first time we're actually recording since that live show, and that was fun.
It was so fun. It was so nice to be able to see our audience and interact with our audience.
All 10 of them.
I mean, there was at least 15.
I think there was 10.
No, I had a certain number of coins, like 12 or 15 coins, and I gave out every single one of them.
Oh, fantastic.
That's so
we were
exciting.
more than 10.
Well, it was so weird because it was a smaller audience than our Crypticon audience, which was really strange to me. But then, I mean, you walked the floor at Emerald City.
Right.
It was deserted.
Yes.
There was not a lot of people. And I think we were one of the later panels in the day, and the panels,
last panel in the day.
Yeah, they're like shoved in the corner of a building.
Yeah.
So it was like just finding where our panel was. It took me a hot minute. I was like, what floor? Where is this? It's very Harry Potter. It's like between two spaces. And you're like, where? All right.
And there were other panels that were before us and stuff that were equally.
Oh, I know.
low.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
One thing I liked was it was a bunch of people that didn't know who we are.
Yes, that was
which
cool.
I thought was really cool.
Except
and none
for
of
the
it-
cute redhead girl in the front row who had listened to us that day and decided to come see. So thank
So
you very much,
sweet.
cute redhead girl. That
Yes.
made my day.
Yes, that was great.
With the mask on, I was like, do I know you? She looks a lot like my friend that I used to work with, Haley. And I was like, is that Haley? And I was like, really sure it was. And then I was like, oh, it must not be. Because she would have said, hey, Vanessa, instead of I started listening to you today. And I was like, oh, all right.
Cool.
That was neat. And then, of course, we retired to the bar across the street
Yes.
where our first round was bought by Danny Williford.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, Danny. He was texting and trying to be coy about it. He's like, so where do you guys go after this? What bar and all this? And I was like, oh, please tell me you're in town and you're going to just waltz in and say hi to everybody.
That would've been
But he did the
great.
next best thing and PayPal'd us some money, and we
Aw.
bought a round for everybody. And Carlos joined us for that, and Austin, and it was
Mhm.
that was really the most fun, was being able to sit with you guys and have a
Yeah.
drink and just chat.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, so rarely do we get to just like hang out and relax. And well, I guess this show is also that, but more alcohol and different ambiance.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
We can stay
maybe
stuff.
more alcohol. I mean, I don't know how many drinks we had there, but I didn't even get a light buzz on. Everything was
Aw.
watered down so much.
It was-
I was pretty good. I was pretty good by the
It was-
time I
Yeah.
walked.
It was a fancy hotel pour of
Yeah.
those drinks.
We
Mm.
had a very flamboyantly gay bartender there when
he's
Eric and I had
great.
dinner there earlier.
Mm.
And I think he was hitting on me. I hope he was hitting on me, because I get out my little vaccine thing, because in Seattle you have to show your vaccine card to get into a bar and all that. And I get that out, and he starts just asking us for drinks. And I said, do you need to see my card? And he goes, I trust you. I was like, I think I'm getting hit on.
Yeah, I think he had the opposite opinion of me when I ordered some tater tots with the salad, and he brings out the container
my
of ketchup,
That was weird.
and it was obviously like
It was like a little
used-
basket of the
Yeah.
tear open ketchup packets.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
all torn open.
All of them torn open and empty.
Well, I'm not a big fan of ketchup, so it's not that big a deal. But this is weird.
It was
Oh my
weird. That was a
God.
weird flex. He was obviously trying to get rid of you.
Yeah, that's right. See if this guy goes away.
Right.
Make room for me at the table.
I was just like, you don't see somebody that flamboyantly gay outside of a movie. I mean,
That's
it was ridiculous.
amazing. Oh,
I had a
I
bit of
love
a
it.
crush myself.
aw.
But yeah, that was our Emerald City show. It was a blast. Thanks for everybody who came out. I wonder
Yeah.
if we have new listeners.
Hope so.
that.
Yeah, if you're listening, feel free to say hi on any one of the social media sites out there that we're on, or
Yeah.
anything
We're
like
on
that.
we're on all of them for
Right.
the most part. I don't know what are the kids on? We don't have a TikTok.
No, I don't. Well, actually, technically, I think we do.
Oh, we have a TikTok.
I think I
Oh,
claimed
no.
the name, but I've never done anything with it.
Oh.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Besides all of that, Micah sent in some money and a request, and I watched
Oh.
Dark Angel. Now he was saying he was I think he called it the criminally underrated gem. That's pushing it.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised when it started, because I saw this movie a long time ago when it was titled I Come in Peace.
And yeah, that's when I saw it.
Yeah. This is not a good movie, Micah. However, I had a good time with it.
Aw.
If you're not familiar with the premise, Dolph Lundgren plays a cop in Los Angeles when these two aliens show up, and they are both big, huge, muscle bound. One of them's a bad guy, one of them's a good guy. The bad guy is here to harvest our endorphins, which is a highly illegal drug from where they're at. And the good guy is trying to take him into custody, but the good guy is killed pretty quickly, which leaves it all up to Dolph and his annoying sidekick to try and take down.
Oh.
There is a lot of fun. There's a flying CD this guy shoots out of his wrist that slices everybody's throats and then comes back to him and all that. And I kind of like that. The CD is tuned to our brain waves or something, so it just attacks humans when it's let loose.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
Nice.
It was directed by Craig Baxley, who did the actually criminally underrated Action Jackson, which is a good movie,
Yes.
Mm.
and the Brian Bosworth Stone Cold.
Oh, God.
And
Not a real huge hit here in the Seattle area.
No. And it was written by a man named Leonard Moss Jr. And I was like, I got to know what else this guy has done. Well, for some reason, he changed his name to David Koepp afterwards, and then wrote Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Stir of Echoes, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, Death Becomes Her, Panic Room, Spider-Man, War of the Worlds, and about 20 other gigantic movies.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the most interesting thing about this. I was like,
Whoa.
whoa, why did this guy feel he had to change his name after this movie?
Shocking.
I don't know. I
Wow.
did like it. There's a couple of really stupid things at the end where Dolph has to fight this gigantic alien, which is just a human-looking dude with white eyes. The best part, though, is the only English he knows is "I come in peace."
Oh no.
So he just says that before he kills everybody. And I was like, this is kind of clever.
Nice.
It's fun.
That's fun.
Oh, I had a good time with it. Thanks, Micah.
Well, that's good. I remember watching it and never needing to see it again.
Yeah, I think it's actually legally underrated.
Okay.
Probably right where it belongs.
Oh, very cool. Well, I feel like I'm always playing catch up with you guys as far as the things I watch, but I did finally get to see Advent Calendar.
Oh, nice.
We haven't talked about it.
No, we haven't, have we?
Oh man, that's a fun film.
Oh, I don't know if fun is the word. I would
Okay, well,
choose.
it was a fun Christmassy horror film.
Maybe my
Good.
new favorite Christmas horror film. I was really surprised at how good that was.
Yeah,
Really,
it was
really good.
much better than I was expecting. I mean, Shudder is kind of great at doing that, like
Yeah.
giving us stuff that I was like, oh, I didn't know I needed to see this, but now I know that I have, and it's definitely going on my Christmas rotation.
Yeah. Did you talk about it last time, or
I don't
or
remember
did you just send
mentioning
me a
it.
text or something?
I think I just mentioned you need to see this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't think we've talked about it on the show because the Emerald City and all that
Right.
got in the way.
Mm.
Well, we probably were at Emerald City, and you were talking about it to us.
Oh,
or
that
something.
sounds right. Yeah.
Whatever it was, what a
It's-
great recommendation. I was like, this movie was not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Plus, I want that fucking Advent box. That
I
was
know.
cool looking.
Oh, it's a great design.
Oh, and the character attached to said box is so fucking hilarious. I'm like, where you go now, bud?
Also, I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
I mean, there
It's
is a
niche.
creature.
It's I.
Yes.
Sheesh.
But I mean, that was a wild decision for the design of the creature.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of wild decisions in this. I
Yeah.
mean, just a lot of big, interesting, risky moves that I think mostly really pay off.
Yeah, and all held
yeah.
together by that lead.
Fun.
She was fucking great.
She was so good.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, like the intro of her being in a wheelchair and just instantly setting up a whole bunch of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that one scene with the guy at the pool is like, "Fuck, this is going to be a well-written film."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think the only part that I really cringed during was the doll, the female doll that she has.
Oh,
Yes.
that was okay.
That was a
yeah,
lot for me.
It was the dog for me. So.
yeah,
Oh,
that
the
was
dog is
that
rough.
was yes. It's like, oh, she's not. Oh my god.
I thought she
Yeah.
was well, and the rules, I think the rules were a little confusing at first because it was like if you eat one of the candies in the advent calendar, you must eat them all, but then other people are eating them. And I was like, I guess it just has to be that somebody eats these.
Yeah, I felt like she understood that, oh, this one is not for me.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yep.
she just had to follow all the rules.
And no one else need to worry about it. Interesting. Interesting. But
Oh.
yeah, and I actually really enjoyed the way they wrapped things up. I thought that was a really strong choice. So
Yeah.
Cool.
hard to make something like that pay off. So
Yeah, that's on Shudder, which is still like $6 a month. you
yeah,
guys.
it's really
Yeah.
not that much
You're a
for
horror
what you're
fan.
getting.
You need Shudder.
Yeah.
Make yeah. Let's see. Which one shall I talk about first? I will talk about a weird one. 4x4.
Not familiar with
This
this.
one, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I think I saw that in Home Depot.
Probably not. It's a one of those kind of buried stories where a car thief busts into somebody's SUV and gets trapped inside it by the owner.
Oh.
I saw the trailer for this now. Okay.
And I remember watching the movie
Mhm.
and thoughts going through my head of why don't you do this, or this? And they sort of answered them and they sort of didn't. So it's good, but and in the whole big way, it also sort of doesn't work at all. Like I thought Buried worked fantastic.
Right.
Mm.
And this has too many weird little variables, a car on a busy street and never really gets ticketed or towed. And it sounds like it's there for a very long time and little things, but I'm so glad I watched it. It was interesting. I think it's from Brazil or Spain.
Yeah, I was going to ask where this was coming from.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's fine. It just has a lot of that kind of where you're sort of, when you yell at the horror movie, don't separate people. There's moments in there where you're going, well, why aren't you you're using the crowbar against the steel of the side of the truck. I know you found out the windows are bulletproof, but you can break bulletproof
Sure.
if you can
Mhm.
bust through the
Ask
steel
Elon
of
Musk.
the car. Yes, you got no time. You got nothing but time, so you just bang on the glass. Little things like that. But overall, it was good, and the lead's performance is kind of why it worked.
So the
Hmm.
premise is this guy tries to break into this car. He gets into this truck, and
Mhm.
then he is trapped inside the truck
Yes.
because the truck is designed to trap somebody who
Yes.
breaks in. Okay.
Yep.
What a weird thing to decide to do with your time. I'm going to make a car that someone could break into, and then I can trap them.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And he talks to him. It's got the intercom, the call system. So he calls and talks to the guy and explains why he's there and why he's doing it.
Wow.
But so it's worth watching, but it will have those moments where you're watching, go, well, wouldn't this solve your problem?
Mm.
But overall, check it out. If you like Buried, it's probably going to be something you'll like.
I have been watching something that you guys are gonna fucking go crazy for. We've got a listener named Michael DeBronzo, and he had suggested something called A Thousand Fangs, which is on HBO. It is a series, Spanish language, so
Ooh.
I don't know where it's actually coming out of, though. It feels like, Colombia or something like that.
Mm.
It is military horror. It is this group of special forces unit that gets dropped in behind, some enemy lines or something in this
Mhm.
jungle, and they are there to basically take out this drug lord that they want dead. And then everything goes to shit. And I'm like 4 episodes in. There's something supernatural going on here because they have stumbled upon these weird stone pillars that is kind of making everybody go crazy. I can't tell if it's just cannibalism, but there is some kind of weird slimy monster things too, and then maybe like super fast smart monkeys or something that shoot arrows. And
Wow.
I'm just like, I want you guys out of the house so I can finish this fucking series tonight. It is that good. I'm like, wow, this
Whoa.
is the coolest thing I've seen in forever. So
Nice.
A Thousand
Wow.
Fangs on HBO. Check it out. And thank you, Michael, for the recommend.
Cool.
That sounds incredible. So gosh, yeah. Well, I've been watching something that I think both of you have also been watching, which is continuing to see Hawkeye.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, boy, I really want to like this show.
That's exactly how I feel. Like I think I'm trying to pin down what it is that isn't working because I love the dialogue. I love the characters exchange. I love the action's pretty decent. I think it might be the music. I'm trying to work it out because
Okay.
there's just something that always feels a little flat and a little off. And I was like, I don't think it's the editing. What is this? And I think it's the music choices are not working for me and it's never getting me in the right headspace for what's happening in the scene. Because I'm always like, I like in theory what's going on, but sometimes I'm bored or sometimes I just feel like unengaged. And I wonder if it's that. I don't know. I'm having a hard
have
time
a
with it.
theory. I think, Eric, you like this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm digging it. I mean, it's not great, not the greatest of the Marvel series, but I like it.
I have a theory, and that is because I like every season of Daredevil
Oh, yeah.
better
Yeah.
than any of the stuff I've
Yes.
seen on Disney Plus.
Mm.
And even, like that first season of Luke Cage, I like
Oh,
that
man.
better than anything I've
Yes.
seen. WandaVision, all of these things, even though I like
Wow.
all of that stuff. And I think that there is a little bit of laziness with these Disney movies because they can tie directly to the movies.
Right.
Mhm.
And the Netflix Marvel movies, they couldn't. I mean, for whatever reason, they would talk about, the event and stuff like that, but they couldn't bring in the characters from the
Right.
movies and shit like that.
Right.
And so they were forced to really write harder. And this feels like, yeah, we've got Hawkeye in our Hawkeye series. He's an Avenger.
I feel like almost not quite the opposite, but I feel like the word for me is careful. I feel like they're constantly being very careful. We don't want to expose this character too early. We don't want to talk about this thing yet because maybe we'll use it down the road. We don't want to freak out people who already like this particular thing. I almost wonder if they've gotten their head in the wrong space because they're so paranoid about how they can play things in.
I think you're onto something with the Netflix one because it's safe. The show is safe.
Yeah.
The Daredevil,
Hawkeye, you feel like is safe? Yeah.
Yeah.
the Daredevil and Luke Cage were rough and intense
Very.
and incredibly violent
Yeah.
at times. The Punisher was insanely violent.
Well, and that might be something that maybe Disney Plus doesn't feel comfortable. Do you think that they could have done a show like The Punisher on Disney Plus?
No.
Yeah, I don't
No.
think so either.
I mean, the guy's shooting arrows at people all over the place, and
Right.
you're not getting anybody violently torn apart.
I mean, what's the roughest thing on Disney? Like maybe Mandalorian, which isn't,
Yeah.
it's such a safe death. I
as
got
a
shot by a
as a side note, did you guys watch any of that Beatles documentary?
No.
not yet.
It's fucking amazing, except for it makes you want to just throttle Yoko, who's sitting there the entire time while these guys are making history and writing their next album, and she's like eating a chocolate bar and reading the paper or something like that. And I'm just like, why are you here? But anyway, Peter Jackson had to fight because Disney wanted to, because they swear. It's a live thing while they're writing, and Disney wanted to edit the swearing out.
No.
And Peter Jackson was like, this is history.
Yeah.
And he, got them to relent on it. But that's what we're dealing with on Disney Plus is they've got to be safe.
Yeah. The Hawkeye series is a
family
CW
friendly,
closer to the CW style.
It's better written than that.
It's better than those, at least. Yeah. So it sits between that and the Netflix. But yeah, the Netflix ones are a lot better.
Yeah.
I did like how, with this latest episode, without giving too much away, it does tie into the end of the Black Widow movie. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
And, there's a lot of hints of potential people who might be showing up in the next few episodes.
Yeah.
And including tying in some of that Netflix stuff. So.
Well, yeah,
we'll
in the
see.
comics, that Echo is the goddaughter of the Kingpin?
Yep.
So that would be an easy way to pull him in at the very least. And
absolutely.
Maybe Daredevil. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other one
by the way, that had to be the geekiest thing we have ever all talked about.
And we all knew exactly what that's. Good point.
And I held my tongue on so many more geeky things, but that's okay.
No, you don't need to hold your tongue on geeky things on this show.
Oh.
Speaking of ungeeky, I watched a movie called The Vigil. Have you seen this one?
No, but I've heard it's incredible.
Jewish. I like this.
Yeah, it's a combination of interesting things for me. It's a well-done horror movie. It's well acted, and it's a style of film that really hasn't been told much. The Jewish perspective on death and the idea of somebody sitting with the body until it's ready to be processed. Incredibly well acted.
Yeah.
And some genuinely creepy shit happens in it.
For sure.
I just think it's just good. It's just nice, solid, well-made horror film. And it's one of those two that just has natural reaction. Start watching. Oh, this was PG-13. Yeah, this is PG-13 done right.
Yeah,
it's creepy and scary, but so I would definitely recommend that one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I was just thinking of PG-13, and I think it's on the Disney stuff where they will show like contains scenes of smoking and stuff like that. Oh, boy. Here we are.
You guys.
Netflix does that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, maybe it is Netflix I'm thinking of where they do that, and it'll be like, contains sexual situations, nudity, and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it was on Ozark. I've been hooked on Ozark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys didn't even mention the part where these people are graphically getting their brains blown out. But the smoking, we want to make sure your kids aren't exposed to that.
That's like the Indian films sometimes will have when somebody's smoking on screen, they put words on the screen while they're smoking. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if when some certain films start popping up on Disney Plus, if they're going to have to be like, contains gay. Like, just be aware.
Oh my.
All y'all.
Contains gay.
Oh, everybody's happy in this movie. Okay, cool.
Be prepped. I mean, because it's the same crowd to a certain extent as the Hallmark crowd, right? Like people who are often of certain religious affiliations are the ones who are, buying those Disney movies going, it's safe for my kids.
Absolutely. You're right.
Not safe anymore.
You know what isn't safe? This episode of Strange Eons Radio.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
How about we take a break, and when we come back, we're answering your burning questions.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. This is MacDonald Carey, and these are the days of our lives.
We have returned, and we've got something different going on this time. We asked people for questions and wanted to make this kind of like the projection booth, which does Ego Fest. I think we'll call ours Strangeapalooza or something like
There
that.
you go.
But I had my own questions about you guys too,
Oh, shit.
and
Oh,
stuff
shit.
like that.
Oh, I see
Okay.
how it
And
is.
one of them, Vanessa, was I found out when we were at Emerald City Comic Con, and you were saying, "Oh yeah, I teach right around the corner and all this stuff," and I was like, "You really need to explain to me the teaching part of your life because I thought that you occasionally taught a course or something like this, but this sounds like it's a daily job,
It's not daily. It's once a week, but it's for 5 hours
right?
once
so
a week.
So I mean, are you a teacher? Did you go to school to be a teacher? How do you teach?
I got-
secretly, I kind of have always wanted to be a teacher
You could totally do it.
at an all-girl school.
We have less of those. Well, I kind of got tricked into it, but I've done a lot of teaching ever since I graduated from film school. So when I first graduated, one of my early jobs was to teach like a little bit of instruction on editing and like introduction of filmmaking to others, upcoming students into like youth camps. And then I didn't really go to school for teaching. It's just that the current job that I've got, a friend of mine who's a DP in town, Bliss Holloway, is incredible filmmaker. He got roped into a program for Seattle Central Visual Media program just as like a teacher. And then all of a sudden he became in charge of the whole program, and he was scrambling for people who could jump in and teach things. And it turns out I have 2 master's degrees, which means I'm super qualified to teach, apparently. So, and I get a slightly higher pay bump. And he was like, "Oh, hey, could you like teach this introduction to editing class?" And this was 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, sure, for this like 2-year program where kids are learning visual media. And so I started doing that.
But kids as in
Adults.
adult kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's community college. So my kids, the students I have are aged between pretty much like 18 and 100, like
Sure.
you have like a huge range. And this year it's actually really great because the pandemic meant a lot of people quit their jobs. And so now I have a lot of very dedicated students who are excited to learn something new, which I love. And they're not just floundering, it's fantastic. But yeah, so I've been teaching intro to editing on and off with them. And currently I'm doing this sort of collaborative class where students get like a really quick intro, a 5-week crash course on how to like what film is. I break down narrative in film through structure. So first day we talk about shot sizes and how that tells your audience what they're looking at. So close up means you're emotionally very close to the scene. Wide shot, you're getting information. Second day we talk about editing. Then we talk about sound design. By the time we're done, hopefully they can watch a film and really have it ruined for them. That's my goal.
Well, that was like when we went to film school. It was like after learning the code of film, you're just like you can't not see it.
No, completely. And I mean, that's one of my favorite. And the best and the worst thing about going to film school is you will never see a film the same way again because you can see all the trappings and all the structure and what goes into it. And while I was in the middle of learning editing, I went and saw The Prestige in a theater. I probably told you guys about this, in a theater on Tottenham Court Road. And in the middle of the movie, a giant red screen flashed up and it said media offline for like a frame. And I was like, oh, I know what that is. I get that all the time now. And so I was like, it was such a great moment for me to be like, oh, I can see through what's happening here. And just really felt empowering. So I'm trying to give that to these kids so they can watch a film and be like, oh, the sound design is doing this right now. And it's trying to make me think that we're outside or this is happening, or it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It is not my full-time job. I don't consider myself a teacher, but it's something that I've been engaging with pretty consistently for a few years now.
Do any of the students bring you an apple?
I hope not. It'd kill me. Fun fact, Vanessa's allergic to apples.
Okay.
Insane.
It's a new one. And okay. If any of her students are listening, bring her an orange.
Nature hates
Yes.
Vanessa.
That is 100% true.
What is the main crop Washington's known for?
Yep.
It's apples.
I guess apples.
I'm also
yeah.
as allergic to grass as you can be. They want me to have shots, but I won't do it. So fun question, Kelly.
I love, talking about our film school, which was predominantly writing. I love seeing people hide the hero's journey, but even more so, I love it when it's like blatant and people who hate the hero's journey then love a movie where it's exactly the hero's journey. Black Panther is so blatant that the character dies and they put him in a cave with an elixir to bring him back to life. And I wanted to stand up and go, is everybody else watching this?
That's so funny. I literally just taught that like a few days ago. The hero's journey.
Hero's Journey. It's a great one.
Yeah, and there's a really good graph online of all, some really good films that follow it beat by beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the really good ones do. Even if you don't know they are. So like when we saw William Goldman talk down in LA, we went to a thing we talked about, and he talked about how he thinks all this teaching of writing is stupid. I'm like, yeah, because you naturally write a perfect hero's journey.
Well, yeah.
It's just what you write.
Right.
So you don't think it can't be taught, or it's just something you know. I'm not sure, but I was watching going,
Also,
I've seen The Princess Bride, dude.
Also, he was speaking at a seminar that we paid to go see, and he's like, oh, nobody can teach you how to write. I'm like, well, what are we doing here then?
Can I have my money back? Thank you, sir. Oh my gosh.
So we asked for questions and all that stuff. And one of the very basic questions we got from just about everybody was knowing a little bit more about our history and everything. Yeah. And I thought maybe I'd just kind of ask you guys, like Eric.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Eric, what's your background?
Yeah. Man of mystery.
It's so exciting. That's why I have to keep it secret. Let's see, how far back should we go?
Well, how about you start after high school?
Well, it's really boring. We'll start with that. I did grow up in a small little town in Idaho. Not super small, but definitely not large. Large enough that when I moved to Seattle, the University of Washington had more students than my town had.
Wow.
And moved up here in the late 80s, shall we say? And went to a school that no longer exists.
Oh, yeah,
I
the Art
both
Institute.
attended the Art Institute of Seattle and then worked at the Art Institute of Seattle. A lot of the biggest thing I probably did there was, as far as like names somebody might recognize, is stage managing and editing Alice in Chains.
Right.
So I did stage managed one of their shows where they, at the Ballard Underground, which is long gone.
Yeah.
Which every member of the band stole food from the restaurant. Found out.
Beautiful.
And while they're doing, you know what they're doing there right now? They're loading a bunch of stuff into there. It's like, I don't care. I'm not. Nope. Earmuffs. I'm just going to let this go. But and that was My Sister's Machine opened for them. Who actually,
man, I just
really
fired off some synapses. I hadn't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, they're a pretty good local band, but then they hired the same producer as Alice in Chains and tried to make them sound that way, which was not their sound, and it just didn't work. But anyway, so Alice in Chains was fun. weird little tidbit about watching that video being made. Lane Staley, who goes batshit nuts in videos, you always see him spinning around and throwing his hair, doesn't move on a live show, at least at that time.
Oh.
He just didn't move. So it's like,
shoegazer.
Yep. So it's like, okay, you concentrate real hard on your guitar playing, but you know when the cameras are on, so you go crazy. So that was fun. And editing it was fun. Got some MTV play out of the one that I edited. Had to be slightly edited because he had a big fuck on his guitar. But so that was pretty cool. And then when I was working at Art Institute, I ran the audio and video rooms at night. And I can tell you, most of the audio bands that came in were really bad.
Oh, sure.
And the studio wasn't really that well soundproofed. So
what were they recording albums there? Oh,
yeah,
I
they
didn't
had a
realize
full
that.
studio.
Oh.
And so I would sit and listen to the bands and stuff. And one night this band comes in that was really good. And I was like, and the main thing you can hear obviously is drums. So I was hearing Jeff play drums.
Oh, my brother's band.
Yeah. So I'm going, well, this is a good band. So I went down and, horned my way into the studio or something like that because I probably knew whoever the engineer was.
I wonder what they were doing there because I didn't know they ever recorded there.
I think it was a demo thing. It didn't seem like a full.
Oh, that's right. Because we were shooting the video. I'm skipping ahead.
Well, we started talking about, hey, these guys are good. Hey, they need a video. You want to help? So I worked my way into getting fired.
Beautiful.
By using all the gear from the Art Institute and also using old videotapes from various things.
Yep.
Interesting old videotapes. I discovered that Michael Bolton actually had like a little rock band thing going for a while.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, the video was on file at the Art Institute.
Yeah.
So yeah, that led to a shooting. Somebody's Watching You, which is available online. You can find it. It's interesting. It's not bad. It's not great. It's early 90s.
90s video. Yeah.
But some cool shots in it, though. Some cool stuff in it. General stuff. I worked as far as my making money stuff. I worked for Suncoast Video for 16 years, I think.
Wow. Ran
4 different stores, opened 2 or 3, renovated 2 or 3. Had the real fun job of taking over the Everett store after not having a manager for a month and having to fire almost the entire staff. Like, oh, this is going to be a fun month. Let's see, what else have I done? Yeah, met Dina at work. That's right. I met my wife at work when I was the assistant manager. But
hashtag me too.
There you go. Not quite sure, where to go with other stuff.
No, I mean, I think that's what people wanted to know is, how you ended up here and all that. So
yeah, and currently you're working with the Crypticon crew, right?
Right. Film Festival, Crypticon.
Yeah, tell me how you
stuff.
got involved in Crypticon because you were there year 1.
Yeah, I was running horror panels for NorwestCon.
Oh, okay.
And a guy who I'll leave his name out of this came and approached me about doing the convention. And so I came on and programmed a whole bunch of stuff and almost everything except for guests, year 2 or 3. And then some shit went down that was really bad. And Troy took over and kind of brought me to stay on. It's just been fluid since then, just up and down. Who you're going to work with, where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Did the panels for a while, got sick of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a pain. And then it's like, I'll do the film festival. That's much more fun. And then various editing things. I'm actually currently in the middle of remastering something Kelly and I did in 1999, 2000. That I think the more I watch it, the more I think it's going to be very interesting for younger audiences to see now. Mm-hmm. It's a documentary about waiting in line to see The Phantom Menace for a month.
Yeah.
Where the group of people just got the parking lot next to Cinerama and set up campers and stayed there for a month.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
That'll be really fun to check out once you've gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better. It's better than I remember, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then needs just needs some reworking, and we may do some new interviews. And
That's so cool. Well, what about you, Kelly?
I think everybody has heard kind of my story.
I don't know. I feel like there's some holes for me. I don't even know where I know almost nothing about you up until you went to film school, I think. So.
Let's see. So I was raised in a tiny town up by the border named Bellingham. And when I graduated, my parents said, well, we're moving to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, what am I doing? And my mom was like, yeah, figure it out. So I sold all my comics and I drove my shitty 76 Chevy Monza down to Los Angeles. I had a novel and I knew a guy who was a photographer and was going to let me stay in his garage and work for him. And I did that for about a year and a half. He was a Playboy photographer.
Beautiful.
So it was a exciting time. I shopped my novel around and everybody let me know it was pretty bad. And but one of the people who read it was a guy named Dick Morgan, who was a writer down there who had written episodes of Lost in Space and The Land of the Lost and shit like that. And anyway, he read it and he was like, have you ever thought of writing screenplays? Your writing is not flowery enough for novels, but for screenplays. And I was like, I don't know. And so he handed me some screenplays and kind of light went off above my head. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to use. Right to the point and, 100 pages. And so I started doing that. And then I moved back up here, met Eric because of my brother's band. My brother was in a band in the 80s that was almost big. They were called Q5 and they had a hit in Europe and they reformed, or at least the guitarist and my brother reformed a band called Nightshade. And then now you're telling me this and it's reminding me they did a demo of 4 songs that got them a label for their new album. And then talking, the drummer was just a piece of shit. But anyhow, he wanted to do a video or something like that. My brother stepped in, and I think that's when he was talking to you, Eric, when he said, "Well, wait a second. I'd much rather you work with my brother who has this storyline that actually these songs are kind of based in." And so I remember you and I met at a bar,
probably,
and we started talking about what we wanted to do. We had kind of lofty goals for 0 budget.
Yeah.
But the 4 videos turned into 1 video. We've got footage for other things, but there was just a pretty decent friendship and a desire to do something. Keep in mind, this is the time when Quentin Tarantino is coming out and Robert Rodriguez is coming out. And it's like, oh, wait a second. We don't need to have a studio behind us. We could make a movie.
Yeah.
So I wrote a couple of scripts and they are bad. I look back on them. They're really bad. And I just remember thinking, why won't anybody give us money? And now I look at it, I'm like, no wonder nobody will give us money. These are awful. But we persevered and did that thing where we stood in line with the people and then made a short film and then another short film and then get some interest and got some money to make our feature film. And then the rest is history. We've been palling around for 30 years.
Yeah, I would say, man, I wish we'd gone to the film school first and then made the movie.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, well, it is what it is.
You know what? The movie was not great, but boy, what an education that was.
Oh, man. Shooting it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then shopping it around. We went down to the American film market.
Wow.
And just had a blast with it. Flew all over to various film festivals and shit like that.
I mean, all of that is like priceless information. I mean, that's stuff that I tell my students, like, go fuck up. You're not going to be any good for a long time. Go and fuck up. Just make stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way to learn.
Well, and then, the American film market was, I mean, just a wild. Have you ever been down there? Have you?
Mm-mm.
It is a wild experience because they hollow out like 3 hotels and they
Mhm.
take all the furniture out of the rooms, and people rent the room and they've got their movie there, and you got either people selling a movie or people buying movies,
Yeah.
and you just kind of trick or treat your way down the hallways trying to get people
Wow.
interested, and you're dropping off CDs or DVDs of your movie and your card,
Yeah.
and just hoping that somebody's going to call up and say, "Yeah, we'll buy your movie."
Wow.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was a wild thing. I remember sitting next to Carl Weathers at the bar. And, I had a drink and I look over and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Good." He's having any luck? And I'm like, "Having a lot of fun." And he was like, "All right."
That'll work.
Oh man.
And
So
Yeah, so those kind of experiences are definitely worth
Yeah.
whatever.
they're definitely worth a lot. Was there anything in particular that made you decide to leave LA and hang out up here?
Jeez, I was 18 and just super lonely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had left a girlfriend up here and all of that stuff, and didn't. I was broke. Now I lived in this guy's garage, but he lived. I mean, our neighbor was Sammy Hagar,
Oh,
so
shit.
this was not a shitty garage. The
It's a
garage was
good garage.
carpeted. I had a refrigerator and TV in there. It was actually a pretty fucking swanky garage and all that. But I was broke, so LA is an expensive place to try and live in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fun. I came back up and later on, then I got into the publishing stuff. I wanted to do a comic book with this artist friend of mine, and that led me into meeting much better artists and, quite honestly, much better writers. And I was like, I want to publish you guys. I don't think
Mm.
I need to publish me as badly as I think that I need to publish you. So that started Planet Lovecraft magazine. That turned into Strange Aeons magazine, which is when I brought Rick into the Strange Aeons stuff. And now we're publishing books.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got a killer podcast.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, it's weird when you start to think about that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I also DP'd for some people and I AD'd for a few things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. But I know you have had quite the background of
Oh God.
traveling and
God, no kidding. You lived in a different
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so I mean, much like both of you, actually, I grew up in a pretty small place. Mine only had 300 people there when I was growing up. And so I grew up on a little island in the South Puget Sound. And it was I didn't know it was a very weird life. But I mean, I was like, building fires every day because we didn't have heating. And when we first moved into the house that we had out there, when I was like 6, there was like no front door or carpets or we had one electricity socket, which we had the fridge plugged into. So it was just a really different kind of thing. And I was just so used to growing up and living in the woods and going to Catholic school.
Tiny towns usually make tiny people.
Right.
How does somebody with that background end up in Europe?
Yeah. Well, I think that you can do one of two things when you live in a small town under a microscope. You can either become part of it or you can fight against it and question it the whole time.
hello.
But the balls it takes to go, not even just to Seattle, I'm going to London.
Yes.
I think I always had like an infatuation with England that I grew up watching like Red Dwarf, and I loved Hugh Grant, and there was something about I know, but like there was something about England that I found really interesting. And when I graduated from high school, so my family is predominantly on my mom's side. My grandmother's from a small Bavarian town in Germany. So my mother grew up constantly going to Germany. We had this really strong German connection. And so when I graduated from high school, my mom said, well, we're going to go to Germany so you can like see your grandmother's farmhouse and where we came from and meet all our relatives. And you can I'll pick 2 countries and you pick 2 countries and we'll like see some of Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was weird because for me, like I grew up so poor. So having the ability to suddenly be able to go to Europe was like, whoa. I mean, I couldn't get flavored Pop-Tarts, before. And now I can, my family would share we would buy a thing of sourdough bread, and there were me and 3 siblings, and we'd each just grab hunks and eat it. And all of a sudden it's like, no, we get to I get to go on a plane, because my mom had a new job and it was just me at that point because I was the youngest. So it was like, wow, all right, this is insane. And so she picked Italy because she hadn't been, and we did Germany. And then I picked England and Ireland. And when I was in England, I just totally fell in love with the place. I was like, hey, it's a place I speak the language. That's not where I currently am.
Oh.
I had no interest in the rest of the United States at that point in my life. And when I got into college, they had a study abroad program. So I was just like, oh, well, I'm studying literature. Why don't I just do it somewhere else for a while? And then once I graduated, I went back and got my master's, and then my second master's, and then went to film school there. So I just loved it.
And it wasn't just like a summer or two there. You lived there for
10
quite
years.
a while. Yeah, 10 years. Okay.
Yeah, for all of my 20s, I lived there.
Wow.
Then why come back?
That's such a good question. Well, I finally had a visa figured out. Finally, there was a lot of me having to leave and come back for a new visa of one kind or another. So that was always a horrible, horrible game. But my family started aging. My mother got older. My brother had 2 children. And the problem with a city like London, or probably other cities like New York, or, whatever, it changes so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone I knew would come and go. There was nobody who was just there for, you can't raise a family in London. There's no, the escalators don't work half the time. There's no elevators at all. How are you going to get a baby around the place? Every house, I knew 4 or 5 people who would come in together to buy a house, because there's no house there under $1 million. So you're going to, once you start working, you're going to leave London and be commuting. So that lifestyle is just not sustainable. It was a really good place to be in my 20s when I was just drinking literally every day. Oh, man. But at some point it was like...
Sounds very judgy.
I had a great time. I had a wonderful time.
Nice.
But I went to film school out there. I loved it. But at some point I decided to go ahead and come home and see if I could have a film career out here. That was another thing. Starting filmmaking in the UK, I was the bottom of a very long list of people to get hired. So it's first everyone you know, and then everyone who's English, and then everyone who's from the EU, and then everyone who's not from the EU. I was 5th in line for every job, always. So my job at Technicolor, I got on a total fluke when I started finally working in on something real, I want to say, because I got to work with Disney and NBC Universal content when I started Technicolor. And that was literally some guy called me from my film school and was like, oh God, I've got some a job that has nights that I can't work. I've overbooked. Could you do this job? It starts tomorrow. And I was like, sure. And I show up and it's you put a card down and glass doors slide open, and there's, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what the job was. And they're like, yeah, so you're going to be launching Disney XD in the UK, which is the HD channel of Disney. And we got all this content from Burbank, and we need you to go through the tapes and look for flaws and then fix any flaws you see. And then you have to go through probably about 6 a day, at least minimum. It's 12-hour days. And if you don't figure it out in this week, don't worry about it. We just won't have you back. It was brutal, but that was my first job out there for, one of my early jobs out there for a couple of years. So yeah. So it was very cool. Very, very cool.
And you shot a film there.
I did. This is how it all ties back in together.
There you go.
Yeah. So I shot a couple of films out there. Went to film school specifically for writing and directing. The writing part was shit. That film school did not know what they were doing for that. But the directing was really solid, really, really intensive 1-year program. And I made a couple of short films out of that. And one of those was my first short film outside of film school. So it was the first one that was definitely almost watchable. The rest were horrifically bad. I mean, there are some that I purposely bury. I do not want people to find. And I submitted it to a bunch of festivals. It was a little fantasy short with a girl who is trying to figure out who she is, but it's fantasy, so she has antlers, which I thought was very cool because
Yeah.
forests. And I submitted it around, and somehow or another, I don't even know how it got into Maelstrom. I don't know. I don't remember how I submitted.
It was all without a box then. So
Oh,
would
it
have
was
been through
probably
Without a Box,
random.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just like, sure, says fantasy in the title, we'll submit.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's in Seattle.
I'll interject.
Yeah.
That's the Maelstrom International Fantastic Film Festival, which
Yes.
we started. I don't know. I think I lasted 2 years before I was like, you guys, I have way too much shit going on. But you kept the festival going for 4 years?
4 years. Yep.
Yeah. It
4
was a
years.
really cool festival. Like, it
It
had a
was a
great
cool
space.
festival.
It was really, I think it had a lot of really good quality stuff, some real quality people involved with it, like Isaac and
Oh, yeah.
and it just didn't grow much of an audience. We never lost any money, but we never really made any either. So it just became sort of like,
It was a lot of work.
yeah. Our primary investor is like, this doesn't seem to be really going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
but
yeah, so you
Okay.
ended up there, and then you actually
Yeah.
showed up.
I did. I showed up. It was 2008, and I was waiting for a visa. Yet again,
Oh,
I had some
okay.
downtime, so I happened to be in Seattle, and I was was waiting on a visa that it turned out wasn't going to come through. I ended up going back to the UK on a different visa, but I had some downtime, submitted Heart around, and got accepted into Maelstrom, and it was pretty much my rule that anything I could go and like be in person for,
Yeah.
I would, because I
good role.
really knew the film industry in Seattle, didn't know anybody. So 2008 was a big year. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was 2000. No, that was 2008.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. And went and met Eric, and you gave me a prize. And
Yeah.
I was like, that was, I think, the first time I ever won
The
anything.
first winner of Best Short Film.
Yeah.
I love it. I just thought it was a beautiful, sweet, wonderful short.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the best ones I ever did. Honestly, like it just worked out. Everything worked out about it. I didn't even bother to record sound because I couldn't afford a sound guy. And so I got it. Yeah. And so instead I got a musician to score the whole thing, and it worked perfectly. So it was this silent film, and yeah, you gave me an award, and then I did not see you again for many years.
And then at a Crypticon,
Crypticon.
you're walking around someplace. We were outside the previous hotel we were at.
Yep.
And you're walking around going, is that who I think it is? I walked up and go, are you Vanessa Williams? And you're like, oh my God, somebody knows who I am. It was really cute. And so, started talking then. You got more involved with Crypticon and doing panels.
Absolutely. When I was in Seattle, basically, I did some reality TV work, and then I ended up at a company called Imagos, where I was the head of post-production. And as part of that, I would help promote their previous materials like Motivational Growth, which was something that Crypticon had played. And so I was there for that, and I was like, oh my God, somebody who knows me. And I'm like, this is really weird, really, really weird. And then, luckily I got to go back in the future once I was freelancing and on my own, and, got to hang out as like an actual person who actually has thoughts and opinions on movies. So very fun.
That brings us, so we asked for some questions and everything. That brings me to one of these questions. Let me see. We printed these out. Basically, how we made the choice to have Vanessa as our co-host.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Always a good question.
I was going to say, it's sort of pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, we knew you for a couple of years before.
Yeah,
and it's panel.
From
panels, chat in the
hanging
drunk
out.
hallways and all that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure if we made a conscious effort that we were going to have a third co-host, or if we just thought we'd have like revolving hosts.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where we sat down. I know we started, just bringing in people we wanted and like talking to, but yeah, I don't remember it being
because I don't think really we were thinking that it was going to be a permanent co-host until you sat in.
Yeah,
and I was listening to the episode afterwards, and I was like, I'm in love with Vanessa's voice.
Aww.
She's got the greatest radio voice. And it's just nice to have, I've got this weird gravelly voice. Eric sounds like Kermit the Frog.
There you go.
And I was like, we need somebody with a nice voice. Jeez.
You guys have fantastic voice. Well, the funny thing is, to me, it felt very random. It was like, I think I'd seen you guys not that long ago at a Crypticon, and then I don't remember who among you, it was probably you, Eric, who asked if I wanted to like come on and sit in on a show, and I was like, that's cool. I haven't done that. Like I'd done radio in college in England to no one listened. It was like Sunday mornings.
Just like this show.
Yeah, there you go.
It was for Rare FM. And so I knew a little bit about doing radio stuff, and having worked in production, like I knew a little bit about how to talk to a mic without spitting or whatever. So it was like, oh, cool. This is really fun. I had a really wonderful time. And then I didn't hear from you guys for like 4 months. I thought that was that. When you guys were like, oh, hey, do you want to come on permanently? It was like out of nowhere. And just so fucking fantastic. I was like, yes, 100%. I want to be on your amazing show, talking about amazing things that I actually care about and like never get to talk to any of my friends about.
Yeah.
I remember because we were kind of also struggling with the idea because we knew how far you had to come.
Yeah.
It was like, this isn't really fair.
Yes, I had moved back to the island at that point. But it was great because I love reasons to leave the island occasionally. Otherwise, I become, I get covered in moss.
Yeah. I get it.
And you knew enough people around here that you would work out stuff. We didn't know that at the time, but you worked out visiting people, and
it was perfect. Yeah. I would just book my days like, wall to wall and figure out what I was doing. I'm honestly really surprised to an extent though, because that first show that we did together, I remember I so over prepped. I figured out what all the films you guys were going to talk about were. And then I was like, okay, it's my topic, disaster movies. I had a stack of like 12 or 13 films I watched. Right. And then at the end, I can't remember which of you said it, but we were like, you don't have to watch the movies we're going to watch. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I think we did all right with you. So
yeah. It was incredible.
Pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into some of these questions.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask this question. Let's see.
We just start here and go down, or
oh, okay, sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So yeah.
So then I guess I will present to you the first question.
Oh, all right. From
Will, Mr. Will over in Hong Kong.
All right. Yes.
What is your most unappealing habit?
Oh, this question was to me.
Yes.
Well, probably being right all the time, I guess.
There's a word missing in there.
I mean, it's certainly, you guys don't seem to like it much.
You are opinionated. That is true. You got strong
how am I
ones.
supposed to feel? That seems like something that I would. That's like asking somebody if they're handsome. That's not up for me to decide.
There
You
you
have to
go,
tell me
yes.
what my most unappealing habit is.
Sure.
In that
I'm not
case,
going to answer that.
in that case, Vanessa, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you also from Will. What is your favorite smell?
Well, it's you, Kelly.
Juicy.
No, my favorite smell is the smell of fresh laundry.
Is it really?
It is. It's always been that. I love opening a dryer and like smelling that.
I know a lot of people say
Smell.
fresh grass, but I know why you would not say that now.
Hell no. Fuck that. Absolutely not. Get that shit away from me.
And I don't ever wash my clothes, so I wouldn't know.
Sure. Wait, what's your favorite smell then, Kelly?
That question wasn't for me.
But I
Okay.
need to know.
Just keep going.
All right, sorry. Okay, so Eric,
Yes.
what is your greatest extravagance?
Not terribly extravagant person
Mhm.
in general, but I think it's probably over the last few years become these friggin' boutique Blu-ray
Right?
damn companies.
Yeah, because you have quite a few of those.
Yeah. And it's sprung up quickly. That's like 3 or 4 years now. So it's, oh, damn it. But yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
As I sit here waiting for the Severin
Oh my God. The
box thing to
full
arrive.
core
Yeah.
box set. Yeah. Ugh. That hurt my wallet.
Yes.
To all three of us from Will was who would play you in a biopic of your life, Eric?
Well, what we immediately struck to mind, Kelly go, oh, fuck you. Kevin Smith. Well, Kevin Smith from many years ago, because he's all slender and stuff now.
Oh,
Or Dom DeLuise would be fun.
see, now you're going looks, but you're not, as much as I joke about it, you're not nearly prickish enough to be Kevin Smith. That guy fucking thinks we should care what he thinks about the new Star Wars movie. Like, you haven't made a good movie in 15 fucking years.
that's
How you wouldn't recognize a good movie if it smacked you on the ass?
Oh my God.
Vanessa, who's playing you?
God, you know what? This is such a hard question. Like, I've definitely got one of those faces where people are like, you are vaguely familiar, but no one that I can think of looks like you. Once somebody said I look like a girl from Evanescence. I know that Allison Hannigan is a lot like me when I was in high school. So she could play young me when she was young, but now she's old. And we've diverted ways.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
if the one I actually honestly got when I was in high school was John Cryer. I got a lot of that.
I can see that.
Oh,
I can see that.
Yeah.
How about you, Kelly?
Well, I mean, the obvious choice would be like The Rock.
Sure. Yes.
with the
Absolutely.
special effects, like that one Super Bowl commercial where they
Yes, where he takes off his arms.
Oh.
I have no idea. I don't. I've got a pretty common face, so I think that I'd have to pick an actor who was, like similar to the way I act.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Tobey Maguire or something like that. I feel
Oh,
like I'm
nice.
I'm a pretty low key guy.
I think Mark Maron could play you.
Just because of the anxiety.
No, I mean it's that rough around the edges kind of person who's actually really sweet inside.
Oh, I appreciate that you think I'm sweet. I know I am a bit rough around the edges. I am a little more conservative than Eric, a lot more conservative than you. If we were just to go like political beliefs, I think that
Oh, sure.
I fall a little right of center. Eric probably falls a little left of center. And I think that you're a fucking communist, Vanessa.
I do really believe in socialism. No, I it's funny you say that because I'm not sure that that's entirely true. It's just that I ask a lot of questions and I don't always tell people what I actually think about things.
Yeah.
So
I
That'll
I
work.
feel like part of my rough around the edges thing is just kind of this frustration of I don't feel like I have changed much, but the center keeps changing on me.
yeah, the center
Lord,
is
yes.
And I'm just like,
Holy crap.
now I might as well be fucking Clint Eastwood the way you guys are saying what's right and what's
You're
wrong.
just gonna be libertarian. Just be like, fuck all of you. Like, I'm over it.
If you start talking to an empty chair, I will let you know.
Talk to all these empty chairs when you guys leave. I just pretend I'm recording another
Just
episode.
the pillows are like
That's
carefully.
Eric over there. That's Vanessa over there.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh my God. I mean, I guess considering where things are, yeah, it's hard. I mean, because you probably are really right, and I am probably all pretty left for where the world is taking things. But
Look, I'm telling you right now,
Weird
Vanessa, it
world.
is tough to be a white male. Right? when are we going to have our time? Is what
as somebody who is a film editor and 99 times out of 100, the only girl in the room, sir, the number of times I've had to explain to people why they should listen to me at all. Let's just take a sec.
All
Take a
right, are
beat.
you
Mike has
done?
got some questions.
I will beat you.
Love that two men interrupted you.
It's fine, whatever. I'm used to it.
Micah's question. Thanks, Micah, for giving us some questions. It's a burning question. At one point or another, you've all talked about formative films and comics in your life. So I was curious, what television series / specials helped form the metric by which you all judge a show to be good, in quotation? Yeah. So aside from Star Trek, what are the TV series and specials that you guys consider good versus just, I like this?
The wording of the question for me is a little weird because I don't watch a show and go, well, this is 3 Battlestar Galacticas good.
Right.
But maybe we should start
Maybe
rating
we
everything
should.
by Battlestar Galactica.
I would be okay
The
with
original or the new?
that. New.
It's where it gets tough.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Boy, favorite shows over the years, like Battlestar Galactica. The reboot was one that I think it was you I watched the film they did and go, that's all right.
Yeah.
And you said, watch the, 3 minutes, I think the name of the first
33.
episode.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it after that, whatever, man. And that was compelling TV.
Yeah.
Well, the best TV does that. I mean, that was because we were in a fucking endless war, and here comes this show that was able to talk about it without talking about the war we were actually in. And
Yeah.
so
So good.
I think that's what makes a good show, is that it addresses that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Or like I like shows that really mess with format. So something like unfortunately Lost ended up sucking.
Yeah.
But the idea of something that has no answers and is strange and weird, but is also just super engaging, like with Battlestar,
Yeah.
where every episode you're like, I have to keep going. I need to understand what is happening in this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think anything that probably starting at Quantum Leap is when I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Nice.
But it sucks, Micah, that you said aside from Star Trek, because that is literally everything I hold a candle to.
Oh, well, there's your Star Trek judge.
Well, and television has certainly changed since
Yeah,
we
so
were
much.
originally watching it, when we had 3 channels, or, if you were lucky, you could get a UHF channel as well, or something like that.
Like, because what you liked and enjoyed as a kid versus what you like and enjoy now, and what you're looking for in TV is vastly different. Because I'm sure the things that,
Well, what we liked and enjoyed as a kid was just whatever was on. That was
right.
I mean, what kind of food do you like in prison? Prison food. That's all you got, and so that's what you like.
Here's your
It
option.
wasn't
Right.
until like The Sopranos or something came on, and
Wow.
weekly television was like, holy shit, you could do this. You
Yeah.
could make a compelling story with real realistic people and all of that. And it wasn't just a laugh track because
Right.
the Ropers think that Jack is gay, and that's why it's okay he's living with 2 women. It's like, that's what qualified for entertainment back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. And the change between what we were watching in the 80s and early 90s and what Sopranos and Buffy did and a few of those others, where it went from, hey, before that, every episode had to be its own
Yeah, it all
encapsulated,
reset to the same thing at the end.
unless it was
Unless it
a
was a
season
special.
ender or a very special episode tonight on a very special Different Strokes. We're going to make all of you horribly uncomfortable. But I mean, I guess we can rattle off a few we liked. What is something that comes to mind for you?
Well, I look back at those times when it was really hitting me how different it had become. So The Sopranos, The Shield.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
holy shit, because FX suddenly started doing that too. It was one thing that pay television was doing all of this
Right.
great stuff, but then when FX came out with The Shield, it was like, oh shit, now it is on. And now it is on. I mean, ABC and NBC and CBS all have really compelling, good television.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, they had to bring their game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, we really don't have a metrics of which we judge
No, not
TV
really.
shows, but we do like them.
right.
We do enjoy TV sometimes.
Much like a Midwest senator, I might not be able to tell you what porn is, but I know it when I see it.
Oh my God.
Oh my! Well, he does have
Well,
one. We pretty much did the background kind of thing.
Okay, that's true. Yes. Yeah.
But there's a question for Kelly.
Now, what action figures do I have up, and why?
That's right.
Everything's been relegated to the back room now,
Sure.
but I have spent an inordinate amount of money buying the toys I used to have as a child in some, futile attempt to recapture my childhood.
Absolutely.
And so what I've got up are these gigantic robots called the Shogun Warriors,
Yeah.
a ton of Godzilla toys from the 70s, Micronauts, and That's about it.
What's
Micronauts,
the-
Micah, you would know. That started off as Microman in Japan and then became the Transformers and all of that stuff. But when Microman came back to the US, they were called the Micronauts.
He would definitely know that. Micah is obsessed with Transformers.
I got that from that
Nice.
gigantic Unicron thing you were telling us about.
There
Oh,
is a
man.
room filled top to bottom with Transformers.
What's the one style? You've got a style that's sort of a G.I. Joe-esque.
Yeah, I mean,
Series
I
of
don't want to
figures?
get into the nerdy history, but
Well, just what
G.I.
is that called?
GI Henshin Cyborgs.
Okay.
GI Joe in the 60s in America was this just incredibly huge toy line for kids. They were 12-inch tall dolls. Well, they shipped that over to Japan, and Japan's like, well, we like the idea, but we're not big on having a bunch of American soldier toys. And so they decided to make them out of clear plastic and turn them into cyborgs instead.
Ah, okay.
Whoa.
And so there were these 12-inch tall G.I. Joe dolls, but they were see-through. I've got a couple of those. And then because everything is tiny in Japan, they made them, 3 inches tall instead of 12 inches tall. And that's where the Micromen came from. And then they made them able to start transforming into things. And yes, the rest is very geeky history.
See it all on the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us.
Well, it looks like we've got a different listener who has a question for all of us again.
That's Andrew Byers, and he does the Friday Night Fright Fest podcast. That if he could get his dang RSS feed going correctly so my Zune could read it, I'd listen to more often.
You and your goddamn
Wonder
Zune.
what he uses as a host.
Carlos was telling me, he goes, well, I have one Zune listener now. I assume that's you. Yeah, it's me.
Andrew asks, as filmmakers yourselves, what story, novel, or other literary property would you each love to adapt to the screen?
I have a very easy, quick answer because there's a Robert R. McCammon novel called Stinger that I think would just make a spectacular movie. Very creepy alien horror in the desert.
That sounds incredible.
What about you?
So I actually started trying to make a property reel. So I'm just go ahead and drop that one, which was Night Trap, which I wrote that's a video game.
All right.
It was a VMA, video motion something video game where they basically filmed a film and then cut it up, and depending on what you click on, the people run around and do things.
I remember that.
Yeah. It's kind of like a really it's like a slumber party, but with vampires. And the girls are all like having pillow fights and laughing and running around. And so I started writing it, but with like actual girls with actual girl issues, and was just having such a fun time. And I think any property that has girls that were horrifically poorly written in it, I just want to take it back and be like, and then she had her period. And people like you will say, oh boy, and that'll be great.
Nice. Mine's, speaking of still liking fantasy, still a little bit of fantasy I'd like. Mine would probably be a fantasy novel by Michael Moorcock. Not Elric, though. The first Michael Moorcock I actually read was The Chronicles of Corum.
Yes.
And that would be really cool. Or Fred Saberhagen's Swords trilogy, which went on to be a whole lot more in a trilogy. But either one of those, I think, would be a lot of fun. I think Elric's being done, but
I know that it's being turned into a video game.
It's a video game. That's right.
Yeah.
Video game. So, but I don't see them ever getting deep cuts of Corum or the Hawk. Was that Hawk Moon or
Hawkwind?
Hawkwind.
Yeah, no, I can't
part of the
remember.
Eternal Champion
Yeah.
series. But so I think those would be wild to adapt.
I'd definitely be on board for those. It seems like old fantasy I used to love, I apparently still love. It's just the new fantasy I didn't know about that I don't want to have anything to do with.
That's fair.
Is it steampunk? Is that what you don't like?
I don't know. I feel like I like the aesthetics of steampunk.
Yeah, because you watched that Whedon show, didn't you? Or part of it?
I made it through about one episode.
Oh, okay. Then I'm only got a little further than you on that.
Too much fantasy.
Yep, maybe it is new fantasy.
Andrew also asked, we seem to go through waves of various styles of genres of horror, specifically zombie, vampires. What is a genre theme or something that you think is totally overused and wish would never appear on the big screen again? And do you think there's more? Something that we need more of?
I will say this. I don't think there are any overused themes, tropes, or genres.
Mhm.
I think there are bad writers.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I mean, every time I think I'm tired of zombies,
Right?
some really great zombie movie
Keeps-
shows up.
Yep.
Same. Keeps freaking happening.
Mhm.
How?
So I mean, yeah, I'm just tired of bad writing. What subgenres do we think we need more of? Yeti for sure. Right? I'd
Good
like to
Yeti
see
Bigfoot movies. Yeah.
some young adult Yeti fiction.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's overused for me, it's like when I watched Lamb, right? There are certain tropes for like A24. There's like sort of eerie, long takes, and there's certain things that indie films are now basically in a genre of their own
Oh, yeah.
for doing. And I think that we could stop. We can go ahead and stop that now. You can just go ahead and, like you said, do some good writing and good filmmaking and get back to just good storytelling. You don't have to rely on, if you're going to do something with the camera, do it for a reason. If you do it for a reason, it'll become timeless. If you're doing it just to be cool, it's going to age very quickly.
Yes.
And everyone else is probably going to do it too. So
That's what RT film looks like. So I
Eh.
have to do this Dutch angle, and somebody's laying in a bed, and they sit up, and the camera goes with them.
straighten.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Do you remember the Gus Van Sant period where like he just would follow behind people
Mhm.
for like 15 minutes? And look, it was cool the first time. And then after that, I was like, I can't. And then everybody was doing it. And I was like, you guys, we got to go somewhere. We got to just arrive at a location and talk to another character because I cannot keep just following you.
Well, is there ones you like that you wish you'd see more of?
I want more fun, earth-oriented. No, actually, you know what? Demons and religious stuff. That's been really fun. We've started dipping our toes more into that between like 13 Coins and Evil, and
Oh, sure.
yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that I think could be tapped into further.
Yeah. I would agree with you, Kelly. I don't think there's such a thing as an overused genre.
Yeah.
But I'm really weird when it comes to shit. Once I like something, I kind of like it. Like there's always people who's like, oh, I can't believe this song's been played too much. I like the song then. You know what? I still like it. But it takes something weird for me to hate something I used to really like.
Yeah.
And so I don't get tired of it. Boy, the way movies and stuff are made now, it's hard to think of a lot of things that don't have something being made of them.
Yeah.
You know, there's, I mean, you mentioned demons and then immediately rattled off a bunch of demon things that are
Totally.
out there. Thinking werewolves, but now there's starting to be a lot of good werewolf movies over the last 3 or 4 years. And okay, here's an interesting one. The subgenre of slasher films has been completely washed.
Mhm.
It's just neutral. It's completely stale. A new wild version of a slasher film would be interesting.
Yeah.
If somebody could come up with a way to present it in a new and different manner.
Yeah, even them trying to freshen up Halloween,
Right.
you're just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
This is what I thought it would be.
looks better. It's louder. Sounds good. Still exactly what it's always been.
Yeah. I think oh my God. What's the name of the film with the guy who's a slasher and they follow him and he's like it's like a documentary movie.
Oh,
Is
right.
that Sam
No, that's the
or S&M?
No.
Behind the Mask, right?
Behind the Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was like, oh shit, this is
Yeah.
fun. This is different. But yeah, those kinds of things are pretty far and few between.
Yep.
Andrew also asks, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
just off the
especially
cuff.
since he names
Yeah.
my choice.
Who's the best relatively unknown horror director out there that we should pay more attention to? For example, after I saw Absentia and Oculus, I knew that Mike Flanagan was a guy to watch for, but if I hadn't caught Absentia at a film festival, I wouldn't have known about him. Just kind of the same
Exactly.
for
how-
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do know that I'm seeing, like this is absolutely the best time to be a film viewer
Yes.
because Netflix and Shudder and all that stuff, they're playing all of this foreign horror that
Yeah.
there's just no way I ever would have known about. So, I want to say, that Gabriel de Iglesias or whatever, but that guy's been doing movies forever.
Since the mid-90s, at least. Yeah.
It's just that I'm finally aware of him now, thanks to Netflix and shit.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to just pull a new guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like the trick that I found is, watch something, if you're watching random content on a streaming service like Shudder and something really piques your interest, do an IMDb search. And if this is their first one, then hey, like keep your eye on that person. So whoever did Host,
Right.
I really liked that. That's really interesting. Or the
Yeah.
dude who did Searching, like I would love to see what happens next with either of those people who are playing with format and doing some really novel, good direction. So that's I don't have anyone.
The lady that did Raw.
Yeah, I was gonna. I had that written down like Raw chick.
She's a good option, but
Titan.
Yeah,
in one can. So it's like, is she too big already?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if she's really an unknown commodity.
Yeah.
But sorry for really not giving you solid answers
there's
there.
a part
but
B to that question, which is who's the best filmmaker of all time and who's the most overrated? I'll say the most overrated has got to be Kevin Smith, right? Are we all together?
I'm actually not going to disagree with you because his last, 5 or 6 films haven't just been bad. They've been
stinky.
Awful.
Offensive.
Tusk was probably one of the worst movies I saw in my life.
And that's one of his better ones over the last 10, 15 years.
Oh,
but
it's heartbreaking.
How do you best filmmaker of all time? I mean, that's a tough one.
No, it's not. It's John Carpenter.
Oh, never mind.
I don't know why
Question answered.
I don't know why you were wondering.
Okay.
No, I know. It's really hard. And
that's a favorite director of all time. Best
I know.
becomes
Because even if you say Ridley Scott, though, there are plenty of Ridley Scott movies I do not like or I think are not done well.
Ridley Scott has become the Stephen King of movie makers, too. It used to be an event when a Ridley Scott film.
And now it's every
he pumps
year.
out a film every single year. And
He's old and he's just churning them out. Was there 2 or 3 just this year?
And he's up. Crotchety.
He's a crotchety dude.
Too, man.
Yes.
I do kind of love that about him.
It's fun to read his interviews now. That's for sure. But I mean, you go back and you watch the classics like Hitchcock or somebody. I mean, is the best the person who did it first?
Right.
Or the person who took that first and
then it's
tweaked it up to a better version? So
then it's going to be Buster Keaton, or Charlie Chaplin. If you put the camera in the car, you can get a real interesting shot, guys.
Well, that's why Citizen Kane sits on top of so many big lists.
Yes.
It's a fine movie, but it did so many things first. That are now completely, almost passé.
Yeah.
But
I really I am endlessly in awe at a filmmaker that Kelly doesn't like, which is Daniel Villeneuve. I fucking love his stuff.
I love his stuff too. I didn't like Dune.
Oh, I thought you didn't like any of those.
Oh no,
Blade Runner 2049 I think is spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, that was when we saw it together in the theaters.
Yeah.
We both walked out going, "Why are people bitching about this film?"
I don't know why people
Fucking
bitched about that movie. It's so
fantastic.
good. And anyway. But I think he's great. I think that he is doing things with big scale that I haven't seen anyone else put out. I haven't seen anyone else capable of it in our modern era.
Yeah, I think someone to watch for is Alex Garland. I did not like that last movie of his, but I like Ex Machina a lot.
Oh, sure.
I'm really excited to see what he does.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't like it, but he's somebody I think that has a long future ahead of him.
Yeah. And I have a hard time doing Overrated because I think somebody who gets to a certain level has probably done something really good at some point.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to be critical over somebody just because they're successful and a lot of people like their stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who don't like that, just because, I knew I liked him before.
Sure.
Sure.
Right.
But I don't think any of us have that kind of a mentality about filmmakers. So.
So we've got some more questions from a different listener. Ron Forbeck
Hi, Ron.
Hello.
There from the beginning.
These are all questions for all of us. The first one is, who is the one person alive today that you most want to meet?
Super easy for me.
Yeah?
Stephen King. I would really
Oh, well,
love
yeah.
to sit with Stephen King.
sure. Yeah.
See that?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Mine actually would, thinking of that and fandom kind of thing, would probably be Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
I would love to know what that psychotic man's work schedule is like, because
God.
he never, I don't think he sleeps. I mean, he doesn't pump out a movie a year. He pumps out a freaking miniseries a year. It's like,
It's crazy.
what are you doing, dude?
I think he has all these ideas he's been waiting with and just, finally gets an opportunity to express them.
But yeah, that'd be really.
Gosh.
What about you, Vanessa?
God, this is such a hard question. A lot of my heroes died recently. Not died, but socially
I
died.
I thought it'd be easy. There's one person.
I guess John Carpenter. Yeah, you're right. Thank you, John Carpenter. I had written down Neil Gaiman as a second place. I mean, he's an incredible writer, and even though I'm mad at him for various reasons, I think he'd be cool to meet. But John Carpenter, fuck yes, I just hang out and play Sonic with that guy, which is what he does.
This is probably a stupid question, but are you going to see Gaiman speak at the Moore?
I have not gotten
What?
any tickets or anything like that. So,
Are you?
Probably not, just because the world is weird, and I noticed that I get weird around bustling people. I had such a good time at Emerald City because no one was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does make a difference.
Walking through the vendor hall and not bumping into
Yes.
one person in 2 hours I bumped into.
That's
It's really weird.
crazy. That's crazy.
But let's see. You want to take his next one there?
Yeah, I feel like this is the story of my life. Ron also asks, what is one toy you had as a child that you would buy today if you saw it in a store? I mean, I just have so many examples because that's what I keep doing.
Sure.
So, I don't know.
Is there one, though, you haven't found?
Probably not. I mean, this is the problem with being an adult and making a good living is I'm able to actually make really stupid purchases.
Yeah.
So I do.
It's true.
Okay, I've got one that's probably weird.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember the Guns of Navarone playset?
No.
I think that's what it's called, but it was based on that movie. And it was this plastic playset. I don't know how big it actually is because, I was much smaller. But I remember it being about a couple feet high, maybe. And it was a rock face in the front. By rock, I mean solid black plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little, kind of like the Death Star inside it.
This
with
is
little
starting to ring a
levels.
bell.
And it had a big gun on the top and little turret things on the bottom and came with all these army men. I remember really liking that one. So that might be something, or either I look at it and go, wow, that's a cheap piece of crap plastic that was. But oh well. Or and I'm not going to, I don't have this one because of the price level. It'd be cool to have the original D&D box that I purchased. I had the red box that was originally, because that's when I started playing. It was on that one.
Wow.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah, mine is not shocking, I guess.
Gotta be a turtle.
Well, there's two things. The turtle item would probably be the party van. I've never had any of the turtle playsets. I only ever had the turtles themselves.
They are re-releasing the turtle van. I saw an ad for it today.
God. I mean, I just bought all the Turtles in Time turtles, so they do need a place to hang out. And then the other thing is probably the Star Trek Next Generation bridge. That was the thing you could buy.
Was that are you talking about the
I think it's got a
what was the guys who made the Star Trek things and the
Playmate?
No, they made Star Trek and
the lube.
Yeah, okay. So you're talking about the late 80s one that came out?
Yes, not the original.
The one when I worked at KB Toys that came out. I remember that.
Yeah. I've seen them. I've seen it a few times, but then just never kind of look at it and go, yeah, that's cool, and walk off. So, yeah.
Final question from Ron.
Yes.
What's your favorite movie theater snack? Very easy for me.
Yeah.
I love dots.
Oh,
really?
Dots are so good.
I love dots. Yeah.
Oh,
Mine's just the standard, popcorn, man. Love some popcorn.
Uh,
Sorry. To be even more specific, I really love the Cinerama mix of regular popcorn and chocolate popcorn.
Oh yeah,
that is the most
something
devastating
else.
part of
Yes.
Cinerama being closed. I would kill for that shit.
That was so good.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm changing my answer.
oh, I can imagine what it tastes like right now. Mine, I only let myself get these things when I'm at the movies, which is Reese's Pieces,
Oh,
and I like to
nice.
get a frozen Coke.
A frozen Coke.
Okay.
Yep, Coke icy.
Nice. I don't think the theater I go to unfortunately has those. The Reese's I think they do, but I don't know if they have the frozen Cokes.
Which, in Issaquah.
The Cinemark. Yeah,
They
the
might.
21 and over one. They might have it. Might be a different version.
Margarita.
Yes. I would take that.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Would you like to take our next question? Ruth?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have another listener who pipes in, Michael. No other name.
That's Michael DeBronzo, actually.
Okay. I was like, somebody named Michael. First question they have is, my introduction to you was through the e-zine shows. I wasn't really aware of Strange Aeons magazine before that. What motivated you to start the magazine and continue in spirit with the podcast? That's such a good question because I wondered that same thing.
Nice.
The magazine came about, like I was talking earlier about doing, a comic book with John. And believe it or not, we were down at the Lovecraft Film Festival back when they used to have this really cool old used bookstore.
Oh man, that place is great.
And I was wandering through there and I found the first issue of Epic Illustrated, which was an adult fantasy comic book put out by Marvel in the 70s.
Oh, shit.
And I started flipping through it and I bought it. And I just loved it because it was different stories, but it was also different paper than it in itself. So it had like different feeling paper that have glossy section, and then it would have like a rough part.
So cool.
I was just like, what is going on with this cool magazine? Some was color, some was black and white.
Mhm.
And I decided right then, I was like, I'm not doing a comic book. I'm doing a magazine, and I want it to be something similar to this. And then the magazine it took off pretty quickly, but it became so fucking hard to put out constantly and regularly and all this stuff. And it just became a job. There wasn't money really to be made. I was hardly paying the artists anything, and it was just taking forever. And so it's just stopped being fun, unfortunately. But the one thing I have always loved about the magazine, and Rick Tillman designed the logo, the Strange Aeons logo, is really catchy. And I thought that it was a good brand name. So when we started the podcast, I had told him, it was called Dead Again back then. And I had told him what I really want to do is call it Strange Aeons Radio. And he was like, okay, why don't you? I was like, oh, you don't have a problem with it? Because he was my partner in the Strange Aeons stuff. And he was like, oh, I don't care. I mean, let's face it, our feature film was called Strange Aeons. So it's not like we haven't been playing around with this name for
a while,
20 years. And then, that was, the Strange Aeons Radio was just branding, because the podcast is nothing like the magazine at all.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to offer different stuff under the Strange Aeons Radio banner, different type of recording styles and things like that. And that would make it feel like it was kind of spiritually connected to the magazine, which is what the magazine was. So, but
that
we're
would
not
be
there
good.
yet.
That would be good.
He also asks, what are future goals and projects you would like to accomplish? Well, I think I just answered that. Is there a dream project? I would love to. I'd like to get into publishing novels, but I really think that the Strange Aeons aesthetic is cool design, and that works best for the novellas and everything.
Sure.
But he then asks, what are Eric's and Vanessa's dream projects?
Oh man. Well, God, I have like so many things I want to do. I had actually written a feature film script about a creature from a lake that starts murdering people in a small town. But it's tied to a girl in a strange way. And I started to go ahead and just form that into a book. I did the opposite of you, Kelly, where I was too flowery and I had too many ideas, and the screenplay was just not holding what I wanted to express. So I started adapting that, and I'm hoping to actually like start writing proper stuff. And then I had also, tried to get Night Trap off the ground, and that hasn't really gotten anywhere so far. So I don't know. Like, there's all the time I have things that I really want to do and get excited about.
Yeah.
Well, you did just hear me say I want to publish.
Well,
and
hey,
you
let's make some
are
magic.
looking to be published. I mean,
Let me
Boy,
tell you.
certainly potential landmine there, man.
yeah. I want to put my chocolate in
case
your
my-
peanut butter.
I want to put the peanut butter Reese's Pieces.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
I don't
what
know
about
if
you,
Kelly will
Rick?
find this a great answer or a really annoying answer. I'd love to do this film called God damn it. I'd love to do this film whose name I barely can pronounce. Kosek. It's a script that Kelly wrote that spoke to me like very few scripts ever have, with Hellraiser feelings and feelings of alienation, feeling of not belonging, but then finding maybe the way you can belong in a world gone mad, to pull in the trailer version.
In a world.
That's right. But I fucking love the script. It's absolutely amazing. So that actually would be the one I've got right now.
Make me tear up.
Aw, that sounds incredible.
And it reminds me that we were supposed to do a teaser for that, so I gotta get off my ass and do that. We'll do that today. Finally,
Do you think we've
Answered.
answered? We've answered both of the next ones. We got
Yeah.
one more from this nice lady named Dina.
Aw,
she sounds hot.
What a beautiful name.
That's true. So that's my wife. She put in a question last night. We were coming back from my birthday thing at her parents' house. She's like, "Oh crap! I wanted to give you questions. I don't know. How about this?" So she came up with one. So we've got
Aw.
one. So I was like, "I think it's cool. I got an answer. I know for sure on it." But let's see, Kelly. Would you like to start this one with what movie would you, if you could remake a film, what would you remake?
The Wraith.
I knew that was going to be your answer. Actually.
That
Awesome.
movie could be done in a really cool way. I've got two ideas where it could be done in early 50s Las Vegas, before
Ooh.
Las Vegas became Las Vegas, and it was like obviously run by the mob. It was dirt roads out there with a couple of shacks as casinos. So you could bring in the Wraith, which is about a guy, a vengeful spirit in his car and everything, but you could make it a silver Wraith. The car, and he could be going after these mobsters that took him out, right? So there's that way to do it. Or I would set it like maybe in the Pine Ridge Reservation in the 70s, where when the FBI agents suddenly started disappearing, and you could tie that into a 68 Charger, come back, and I'd do something with the Wraith. I fucking love the idea. I love the movie, even though it's really bad.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I mean, I kind of answered a little bit before, but there are all these movies out there that have such great concepts, but then the characters just fall totally flat. So movies where, again, girls are really underutilized or running around in their underwear or just like not actually doing any of the smart, intelligent things they could do.
Any slasher movie from the 80s.
100%. Any
An
slasher from the movie.
all-female cast of The Thing, maybe?
That would be fucking bananas. That would be nuts. Although that's a perfect movie. So what for? But there's other films too that just like use women in a weird way that I think would be really fascinating. If you had to rewrite like Cherry 2000, that movie is a fucking
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But if you remade that like now and did some crazy cool sci-fi shit, and it wasn't just like I don't even know what that movie is. If it was like a movie, an actual movie, that could be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, you could certainly have some interesting social commentary
Mhm.
in that
Yeah.
film.
A boy and his dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A girl and her cat. So
I'm not just saying replace male characters with female characters.
go beyond that.
But
You can do it.
yeah, there's
Yeah, you throw in, just do the script from the thing and just cast it all with women and let it play out the
oh
way.
my God.
Play.
I mean, that's what happened with Alien. It was supposed to be a dude. And they were just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's put a chick in the role and see what happens. And it was fucking amazing.
Worked.
What about you?
I've got one that I don't know. I may have mentioned this one to you before, Kay, a long time ago, but it's I think it's a '80s or late '80s, early '90s film called Impulse. And the story in that is that something like an asteroid or something hits a small town, and everybody in it loses their ability to control their impulses. Whatever impulse they have, they just do, which should lead to an incredibly shocking, disturbing, violent film. And it's not.
Oh, no.
I think the worst thing that happens in it, because there's only about one scene I really remember as being intense, was where a guy grabs his hand. He's like, gets all pissy. Some girl turned him down or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he grabs his hand and bends all his fingers back and breaking them. I'm like, really? That was the impulse that you had? So it would be over the top crazy, but an interesting idea, just horribly executed.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, that's so much like the Resident Evil movie that just came out. It's like so close, guys, so close. Just could have pushed a lot of things a little bit further.
Just missed it.
Well, I have a random question for you guys before we finish up today.
Oh, we got a little bit left, so.
Oh.
Good. Yeah,
oh,
that's right.
Fantastic. Well, just as far as questions for us go, is there something that you either in the last year or maybe in your life, what is the project or the thing you were the most proud of that you made and put out there?
Super proud of Commodore.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
super proud of Commodore. I think that turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. And so I'm really happy with that. But, I would say this podcast, I'm very proud of this podcast and the way it has grown. And
the podcast is pretty spot on and keeps evolving and getting more interesting. And we're not above evolving. We were talking about that last week or something like that, where we need to, let's see what we can do to change and streamline or adjust what we're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise it gets just stale. Yeah. But boy, probably let's just go with film projects that I've done because of audience reaction and how much fun it was to watch in theaters where it played was The Package.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
It's a 2.5 minute short. And it became this weird thing for me where when the end hits, I'd be curious what the crowd laughs at different points in that movie. Depending on the crowd, they laughed at different points. At Lovecraft, they laughed really early because everybody there got where it was going. Yeah. At Crypticon, it was sort of in the middle, and there was another festival we played at that I'm blanking on where it became really late because I think people were expecting something else to happen, and then it went dark, and they realized, oh my God, and started laughing. So that was a lot of fun, and so worked. It just worked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You?
God, I mean, it is a hard question, right? Like, I think for the last year, like, absolutely, I think working on this show has been incredible. Yep. Getting to slowly but surely work on projects that I respect and value and enjoy is big. But I mean, this is definitely my favorite thing that I do each week. Definitely each week that I'm up to. But probably of all time, I'm still very proud of how Heart turned out. Like, I've worked on some bigger films, but working for other people on their creative projects, like, yeah, cool. It has famous people, whatever, but it's not yours versus something that's yours that you're like, okay, I'm putting this out here. And hey, man, if I directed Deer correctly, then I've done something in my life. So.
I love the shot with with her touching the deer. I was just like, there's no way this shot should be in a no budget film.
Yep. Deer's name was Penny. Really liked bread. Very sweet deer. Hung out with us until it got full, then left.
That's nice.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I am going to finish things up with this handwritten letter from Danny Williford. First of all, you guys, Danny sent me the spaceship stuff that I had asked him to 3D print out for me. I asked him what I could pay for. He was just like, "Oh, just the shipping, $10. It comes here. The shipping is much more than $10." I'm like, "You son of a bitch!" So I've got some fun stuff in mind for sending to Danny.
Nice.
What I love about Danny is like, I don't want your money. Send me something, cool. Well, what do you got that I'm going to like? I'm like, that makes it really difficult. You're just like, I would much rather just throw money at you. But one of the things I opened was this little ink pad. And I was like, what's this all about? And then a Strange Aeons logo rubber stamp kit.
So cool.
And
That is
so,
so
very cool.
cool.
Danny, I have stamped everything in the house with my logo now.
You should see the walls,
Yes.
man.
It
Green.
was really just a neat little surprise. He had also sent this handwritten letter and thought that I was going to answer it with another letter. We were texting back and
The
forth.
amount of evil laughter coming from you is unprecedented.
We were
Ooh.
texting back and forth, and he was like, I get it. This fucker is not writing back. I was like, you got that right. He says, he asked about the idea of Commodore and everything. I've talked enough about that, I think. I'll let you guys answer this one. Ninja November is inspired. What was the genesis of this celebration of unseen assassins? Eric was there. You both were.
Yeah,
it was
a text string.
Yeah.
Text string.
Well, I thought it was a joke.
Eric was in total disbelief, and I was pretty sure you were serious.
You were afraid I was serious.
I just had that panicked moment of, are there enough ninja movies that I want to sit through? But no, that was all Kelly. That was from the heavens. Manna fell into
If I
your
go
lap,
that far.
and you fed the masses with it.
Man, there you go, Danny. That's how I feel about it as well.
Divine inspiration.
Lightning.
You know what, though? That was, as far as a themed month goes, that was a lot of fun.
It was actually a lot of fun. It was so good to revisit some of that shit. Like fucking Ninja Turtles 3. God damn. What a moment.
He says, I have a rough idea of some of your history. Would you mind sharing a portion of your journey in detail? I think we did that.
I think we did.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
at the start
And
of the podcast.
I'll say this. The genesis of this episode comes from this letter and me not wanting to write back. Like, I know what. I'll just answer these questions on the air. I have to just tell Danny how much I really appreciate all the work he has done for us with never asking anything in return and just being, just a real fucking sweetheart.
Yeah.
So, and that goes for everybody who's listening regularly, who's liking and sharing the posts, who's sending us money for some ridiculous reason. You guys, that is
Great reasons, I assume.
Great reasons.
it's unbelievable to me that we have this kind of generosity.
We're surrounded by, the generosity and the kindness of the people who enjoy our show. Between just looking, it's like I see a stamp, I see a mask. We're sitting on chairs
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
are comfortable, and mine swivels, as does yours. And
Yeah.
we had mic stands that we were able to use for Emerald City that, were able to support us instead of from
Holding.
at Crypticon and
Right.
trying very hard not to brush with my fingers the mic and just be like, yes, I don't look like a robot at all. Rest arm on table.
Well, with that in mind, one of the things that we are going to start offering is so we're going to be putting up the episodes of Strange Aeons Radio because they are available on YouTube. We qualify as having them on IMDb, and there will be IMDb credits because it is basically a web series that way. And what we want to do is the people who are donating these amounts of money, you donate $50. Some of you have donated much more than that. We're going to give you an IMDb credit. We're going to list you as a producer on the episode. These are going to be real IMDb credits that you can show to Hollywood snobs, just like I do when I'm out the bar.
Right. Hey, look at how many IMDb credits I have.
Right. Hey, baby. Want to see my IMDb credits? No? Where you going?
Come back.
Hopefully you'll have better luck with them than I do, but that's going to be one of the things that we're offering. And so for the people who are literally producing the show by making sure we've got seats to sit in and microphone stands that work and all that stuff, just another way we want to give value back for the value we're getting.
And, if you do a donation and you've got a favorite episode or something that you want to be the listed producer on, feel free to send that out.
Sure.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of episodes. So if they are easy to post, it's still going to take a long time. And you go, yeah, well, my favorite one is actually episode 132.
Right.
So, great.
All yours.
Yep.
Right. And this is also an incentive. Hey, if you want a ton of IMDb credits, it's only going to cost you a ton of money.
Are you a producer who would like to have producing credits, but don't have time or energy to actually produce a real TV or film?
Side note for those who may not know, if you see the word executive producer and sometimes associate producer, that means they put money in and probably did very little else.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they're not unimportant.
Look,
They're
no
very
offense to you
important.
associate producers out there, but that is a bullshit title. We all know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was given that as a favor just because the guy liked me. It had nothing to do on the film.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
This is why I have no producing credits. Because I never give people money.
I'll give you one.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah, the first episode you were on.
Anyway, so that's the show. Thanks so much for all of the questions.
Yeah.
And this was fun. I got to learn a little bit more about you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's really been great. I realize there's 5 or 6 of you, and you know who you are, that we talk about a little bit more because you contact us.
Yeah.
So, if you want to be more involved in the show, just reach out. We're really not too
We're approachable.
inundated. Yeah,
We're approachable.
so feel free. If you've got questions you want to know about or ideas of shows, feel free to send them. We may use them, we may not.
Right. Yeah.
But
Feel free to send them, but don't expect much.
yeah, but yeah, we love all the sharing, all the concepts. Get onto Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, share us around. It's all great.
I even love the race to post first and stuff like that. It's just, we've got the best fans, you guys.
We really
We
do.
don't have fans. We have listeners and we have friends.
Friends.
Yep,
So-
there you go.
Strange friends. Strange
Yes.
Aeons friends.
Well,
Franz.
Strange friends for sure.
Strange Eons Army.
Yes, there we are. That's what it is. That's what we call them.
All right, guys. Well, we'll probably do this in another 100 episodes or so. And we'll be back next week with a regular show. Oh, wait. I have to pick a topic, don't I?
That's
Oh
right,
gosh,
yeah.
what's your
Shit.
topic?
Pen,
Paper.
Los Angeles is the topic.
Oh,
Your film has to
shit.
take place in Los Angeles.
Why
Wow, that's a
did
rough city. There's not a lot of films.
I already blew my whole wad on
All Los Angeles movies.
Escape from LA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there are other Los Angeles films.
Escape from
Are
New
there-
York was probably shot in LA.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay, so that's what we're doing next week. Los Angeles-based genre film.
Cool.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Strange Eons Radio is artisanal quality podcasting, handcrafted with all natural ingredients, and edited to perfection by Eric Morgret. Our blistering theme song is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider dropping a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
Holy shit, 150.